Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crypto Hipsters podcast, where I interview founders and co founders, entrepreneurs and artists, executives and stay at home hipsters in crypto and blockchain around the world. And I have an amazing podcast for you today. Let's get to it. And today I have an amazing guest. His name is Jamie Goldblatt. He is the founder and CEO of Mind Chill 360 Media. Jamie, welcome to the show today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
You're so very welcome. Very welcome. So let's kick things off. And I always start out with my first question is this. What is your background, and is it a logical background for what you do now?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how the dots kind of match up. Basically, for over 20 years, I've created, curated, and supported causes through digital content, from the first mobile art wallpapers, themes, and screensavers to innovative digital charity fundraising campaigns. I founded one of the first digital art and mobile content studios, creating and distributing original and branded content across 90 global mobile operators. I've created a lot of digital firsts with some of the world's biggest brands, media owners, marketing agencies, and charities. And to cut a long story short, my own IP content has been downloaded by over 60 million, and Mind Chill 360's art has been seen by millions and featured awesome artists like Beeple. I've also innovated in VR with HTC VIVE and Ceek VR, in addition to augmented reality, and I strongly believe NFT, blockchain, DeFi, and the Metaverse is now such an incredible opportunity for real change and socio-economic empowerment. I believe we're entering kind of, I like to call it the dawn of the digital artists. And that to me means everything can change. I genuinely believe creativity can solve some of the world's biggest problems. And so I created Mind Chill to help the world chill out. And that's a bit of my background.
Awesome. So let's talk about a little bit more about Mind Chill. What is it all about, and what was your inspiration?
Sure. So Mind Chill is made up of four things. It's made up of the Metaverse of Chill, which is the metaverse, Mind Chill coin, which is the utility token for it, Mind Chill NFTs, which are the asset and the creativity, and the Bank of Chill, which is the fund and the governance. If I take you through kind of Metaverse of Chill, the Metaverse of Chill's mission is to help chill the world out. It's basically a decentralized ESG universe and community of creative ideas, virtual worlds, businesses, events, activities, games, dApps, and NFTs to inspire and action real change whilst earning Mind Chill coin. For me, the next internet needs a chill space where it's community and their data and not the commodity, a metaverse where trust, kindness, creativity, and positivity are valued above all, because I think we've kind of lost our way with regards to digital, and people who want to build certain metaverses. And so Mind Chill coin is the utility token that powers the decentralized Metaverse of Chill ecosystem. Its basically main utility is to incentivize and reward inspiration, kindness, sustainability, commerce, and creativity. Its ultimate mission really is to plug the value gap in current perceived value in order to help chill the world out, because for what I believe, we don't perceive the correct things to have the correct value, and so it's governed by the Bank of Chill under protection of the Mind Chill NFT guardians. It's also powered by Devvio, the ESG blockchain, and the token can be used to buy virtual and real world assets and services, virtual land, businesses, tickets to events, memberships to clubs, original sustainable creativity, art, fashion, and so much more, basically across all realities in the Metaverse of Chill. And you can also earn real money because while supporting causes and artists from your purchases. So Mind Chill coin powers the ecosystem, and Mind Chill NFTs are the digital assets and smart contracts of the Metaverse of Chill. such as virtual land, creative ideas, profile art, and collectibles. And in order to fund all these ideas, we need a bank of chill and we need to govern them. And because we don't want one person to own and one person to decide what goes in the Metaverse of Chill and the different rules and the different things that go on in it, it'll be governed by 15,000 Mind Chill NFT guardians, which will be the first and the most diverse NFT profile art project on Devvio blockchain. And so those are the four elements of Mind Chill. And we've got a great community of over 250,000 on Facebook and Twitter and across socials. And it's a really engaged community that I've built without spending advertising money. I've built it through content and sharing and kindness and trust. And so it's a really exciting time to now develop this out into the virtual realm and all the different realities.
So, I mean, that sounds awesome. But what I want to do is I want to ask you this before I ask any more questions.
Sure.
To you, what is your vision of chilling the world out?
Okay, so it is creativity. I see all these problems, and let me give you an example. Best way to kind of put it is Steve Jobs' comment. Everything we call life is made up by people no smarter than you, which means you can change it. So for me, whenever we hear problems, like for example, I'm listening to COP26 at the moment. I'm hearing we need to sort things like mental health, climate change, and poverty, but it's difficult because governments don't have enough money. I think that's a pretty uncreative answer, especially now we have this technology. For example, one of the projects I'm doing is in the Metaverse of Chill is the Mind Chill Memorial Islands, where you can own your own virtual memorial island, where you can meet with others, you can invite, you have this thing called a memory block where you can store your memories of your loved ones, you can invite people to come in, it provides ecosystems and you earn Mind Chill coin by being creative. And grief is such a horrific problem that doesn't get the right help. It affects marriages, it affects business, there's just so many things, but there's no creative ideas in order to help fix those. So especially with mental health, and what you'll see with Mind Chill 360, for example, is a lot of people say to me, thank you so much, it stopped my mind thinking for 5 minutes, and it doesn't patronize them, because when you've got mental health issues, I've suffered personally. It's one of the reasons why I set Mind Chill up, and it's also why I like to turn grief into inspiration, and my art is turning something that most people think is mundane or can't be done and turning it into the opposite. So that's kind of what I mean by chilling the world out. So coming up with creative ideas that not only allow people to fund creative ideas that help them, but also clear pathways to the future jobs, because unfortunately, if we do the same things that we've been doing for the last 20 years, which it seems that our governments think that that's the way to do it, then we're not going to get anywhere. So if you wait for governments or you wait for things to do things, you can be waiting a long time. Whereas this technology is so amazing. With a bit of creativity and with the right people and the right team, we can do the most amazing things. Because to give you something quite interesting, is that before Facebook, I used to create themes for phones that used to go on operators around the world, and there was this magazine called Mobile Entertainment Magazine, and I would be constantly at the top of the charts against people like Disney and different people like that, because we used creativity. And what that did was it would allow us to employ creatives to create with relative freedom, and they would come up with ideas and they would do different things. And then what happened is then you got Facebook and you got Androids and iPhones all came along, and they devalued creativity for data. So we were the commodity, and so creativity became this thing that was just cheap and throwaway, and it's been used to make money. And so if you turn it and flip it around, Facebook would be nothing without content. These social media sites would be nothing without content. And once you start treating the people that you ask to help build you as a commodity, and start restricting the communities that you're creating and you've spent your time building on, then it's really time for change. I mean, if I was to ask you, I'm a creative, so if I was to ask you, would you build a house on rented land with no way to speak to the owner, and they can knock it down at any point and you have no recourse? You would probably say to me, no, that's a stupid thing. But I've had to do that as a creative, as have most creatives out there. And it's kind of, I think everyone's had enough. And that's why I kind of call it the dawn of the digital artists, because it really is time for change. And in this new world, if you can create amazing, wonderful places and amazing experiences, people are going to want to live in those, people are going to want to visit those. And as our world becomes a game and mixes with VR glasses, AR glasses, everything else, it could turn horrific, or it could be used, and this new technology, for good. And that's what I'm trying to kind of do. I want to create a metaverse of chill that has ethics, that has ideas, that puts creativity at the forefront of it.
Sounds amazing to me. That's
Oh,
really cool.
It's difficult. I don't have £10 billion to spend on my metaverse this year, and I funded everything myself to get to this stage. I've got the team together. I've got a strategic partners with Devvio, which I can tell you about, which I'm really excited about. I've kind of been what's interesting is I kind of had lots of value when I was very young, and I set up my company with mobile and everything, and then I lost that value because of the devaluing of creativity, and also a lot of entrepreneurship learning that I've learned through my career, and the different things that I've done. And it's kind of got me to this place where I realized, you have to have a heart in order to do things. Otherwise, what's the point? I'm watching all the NFTs, I'm watching everyone do everything, and I'm just thinking to myself, what's the point here? Where the jobs are going to be gone, and what is the point? The rich getting richer. No, we don't want to do that. We want to be creative with this, and so that's kind of my ethos on the Metaverse of Chill.
So I don't usually take tangents on my podcast, but I'm going to. Because the question comes up a lot, or at least it has over the past 4 years, when I talk about blockchain, is where's the humanity, right? And you mentioned grief, right? So
Yeah.
I've learned over the years how to take the arrows out. A lot of people haven't. How can we deal effectively with grief and this new world of what you're creating? What are some of the tools to do that?
So grief is such a horrific problem, especially with the pandemic and everything that's happened. And to give you an example, the reason why I'm creating the Memorial Islands is because my grandma died during the pandemic, and my sister's in Australia, and obviously because of COVID, she couldn't come over. And when I realized, families were spread out now, when she died, it was very difficult for us to connect and feel connected. And so I thought, if we could create a place that you can customize with memorial art that people can create and you can buy and you can put in there, activities and different things, and 50% of the money of the sale of each memorial island and the NFTs goes to support free grief counseling from within there. And there's also an enterprise version of it, because businesses are losing, I think it's 75 billion or something, million or whatever it is, a year from grief. And so there'll be an enterprise version as well. So the percentage of that money can also go to support ideas to help with grief, so people feel supported and have a place to go. And because I think grief is so, sometimes you want to be on your own as well, and sometimes through creativity. I know I work things out through creativity, and a lot of other people do as well. And to give people frameworks for that within the virtual and digital world, I think could be really interesting. And there's just so many different activities that we can do, and researchers and partners that we can partner with, Ancestry, people like that. There's so much that it's about turning grief into inspiration. And if you can you know, in different cultures, like the Day of the Dead was on at the moment, they're celebrating it. It's how you look at things in life as well, I think. I'm not, you know, I haven't done a philosophy degree, but I've had great success and horrific failures. And grief is not only just people dying, it's, you know, it's a business. That there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there who really go for it and it doesn't work. And that can be, you know, have a really difficult, you know, impact on your life, on your family's life. You know, we all try and do stuff to help our families and you know, provide and our families support us. You know, entrepreneurs' wives, you know, they are, and husbands as well, are amazing. And yeah, it's about a group of supportive network and being creative with ideas, whether it's chilling your mind through activities, through art. I'm just such a firm believer of creativity.
Yeah, so I want to follow up on that, because I see a comparison. Usually when people are stuck in grief, they are stuck on the left side of their brain, on the analytical side, and that side of the brain keeps knocking us down to be stuck. The right side of the brain is the creative side. You know, that's the one that gets us into the creativity. It's the one that gets us out of grief. It's the one that builds and creates. How does one go from an analytical mindset to a creative mindset, and how could that movement from the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain help build this NFT and the mind chill space?
Definitely. So in the Memorial Island, for example, there is, each one comes with a tree of life, and you tender to that tree, and you can develop your garden and develop your Memorial Island along with different music and along with different experiences. So colouring in, so 3D jigsaws, all these creative ideas that stop your mind from thinking. And the other thing that I would say is each property in the Metaverse of Chill has the ability to transport through artscapes and chillscapes, and these chillscapes are 360 sound looping pieces of art with music as well. And you'll find that if something grabs your attention, kind of like that's really creative in music, you kind of, it kind of shocks you. And so if you look at all my mind chill videos, the reason they get shared is because there's kind of a shock at the beginning, and then it draws them in. And so, because it's not always how do I say this, it's not always light, it's quite dark sometimes, and so there's a bit of darkness in mind chill as well. And sometimes when you put darkness and then you show the light straight after the darkness, people go into it. And I've had so many messages from people saying that that they've gone into the soundscape that I've created, and it's just chilled their mind. And so I think activity-based things, also money is a big problem as well with grief. And Mind Chill Coin, there's free Mind Chill Coin yields on the Genesis Memorial Islands as well. And so with all the creativity that you do, you earn Mind Chill Coin as well, and you can buy things and do things like go on trips and stuff like that. So it's all about doing things with grief, you know, and helping a family when someone's lost, or they've lost something, and giving them a place that's online that's theirs. But that's just one idea in the Metaverse of Chill. We've got a project with the Dogs Trust. One of the other things is that looking at pictures of dogs makes people happy, and dogs make people happy as well. And so I'm working with the Dogs Trust, and we're creating the Canine Islands, and it's the world's biggest dog art exhibition, where you can submit your dog, and artists will do this competition, and you also get a land. And so we're going to build a virtual world for dog lovers as well in the Metaverse of Chill. So and what you said was really interesting about left-hand side brain and right-hand side brain, because the map of the Metaverse of Chill is exactly that. And so you can't mix business with pleasure, because I think one of the problems here with social media and everything is when you become the commodity community and the business is put into your personal thing, it becomes it muddies the waters, and it doesn't become real, and it becomes something else. And that's again money again as well. So we've got some really creative ideas to really disrupt money, because I think that's the last thing that's been disrupted, and it needs to be.
Oh, I was headed into my next question. I wanted to cover three things. Money is one of them. What do you think of money, and what should be considered currency, if not fiat?
Okay, so I asked the best way I can describe this one is I asked my 8-year-old what he thought of money, and he said it's old and dirty. I asked him what he thought of his gold coins and Lego worlds, and he said they're amazing. They unlock new worlds. And what I always remember is 2 cousins came to stay with me, and they were 23, 24, I think it was, and it was her and her boyfriend, and it was 9 o'clock at night, and I was putting my son to bed, and they were downstairs, and asked what they were doing, and they were playing Animal Crossing. And I said, is this what you do most nights? You sit there and you play computer games? And they say, yeah, we love it. It's the thing that we do. And it's just so interesting, because if you think about it from my childhood and my 20s, whatever, I wasn't doing that. And so it just sparked into me that, you know, this generation, what they value is very different to what previous generations valued. And if you understand that, then I think that there's huge excitement and opportunity to inspire and action real change. And do some really cool things. And I think with regards to what should be considered currency, it's all made up anyway. So if I was to ask you the question, why am I charged 120 quid for an email from a lawyer that only has a few lines in it, when my friend who cares in a care home, you know, changes and affects someone's life every day for virtually nothing, and she's got to go be on universal credit? Mindchill coin, I want to plug that and value that gap, because for example, the NHS, we could give the NHS a pay rise with Mindchill coin. You know, it's that simple. It's not that complicated. There's lots of different fun things that we can do. It's just no one ever stands up and goes, you know what, I'm not going to inflate house prices, and that's the way we're all going to get rich, and then no one else can get on a house. You know, all these things need to change, because they've got to the point where people have just thought about themselves rather than the greater community. And this new generation, younger generations, they're very different to us, and we need to protect the planet and do stuff, but we also need to give a lot of the 44-year-olds and the above 40-year-olds the opportunity to retrain for different things as well, because time moves on and businesses move on, and the way that if you don't do that, you know, people get left behind, and it provides bad mental health issues as well. So it all kind of, in my opinion, goes all the way around there, and I think we can do some really fun things. And the reason that I kind of chose Devvio as my blockchain partner instead of Ethereum and other blockchains, because I haven't minted on Ethereum or any other blockchains, I wanted to be strategic, because they all had a number of challenges, from gas fees, transparency, throughput, to environmental impact. And when I was researching, I met Ray Quintana, the president of Devvio, and its CEO, Tom Anderson, as well. And not only did they believe in what I wanted to do, but they believed in the exact same ethics, and they were doing the same thing. And they've assembled this amazing team, and they spent the last 5 years developing and fixing the challenges most blockchains are facing, especially with the throughput in the play to earn space. And they're launching Devvio, and I'm a strategic advisor for them, but they're launching Devvio which is their cryptocurrency, which is native to the DevX blockchain. And what's amazing is that this DevX blockchain is going to allow us to create all these currencies and these tokens and these different things. So DevX is 1/1,000,000th the energy and CO2 output of Bitcoin. It can process 8 million transactions a second. 1/1,000,000th the cost of Ethereum. It's got the ability to implement thousands of shards across legal jurisdictions. It's got a RESTful API, meaning over 20 million devs can develop on it. and they're 90% of their Devvio currency is going into the Dev ESG fund, which Ray manages, which is going to fund the most amazing projects that I've been hearing about, that have a real ESG, environmental social governance aspect to them. And what's amazing about this company as well, and why I'm so happy about being strategically partnered with them, and how it is the future of money and everything, is that they have this ESG platform built on DevX, providing a complete ecosystem for enterprise to bring trust, transparency and simplicity to the ESG space. They basically guide organizations through the process of implementing projects and reporting results and improving ratings and things. Because, for example, light bulbs, companies, property development companies around the world, are creating so much of a nightmare with all their light bulbs, and they can save loads of money. So if you give them an incentive, which is whether that's money or whether that's a token or whether that's a cryptocurrency, we can start making and affecting change. And so with regards to where money will go, I think based on all the projects that I'm seeing and all the communities, I think it's really time for change, and crypto is having its day. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, tokens and it'll be unrecognizable.
I'm with you. I agree.
Because I remember also, I remember one of my biggest company partners was Nokia and BlackBerry. And I remember how big Nokia were, and I remember how big BlackBerry were. And so all these big companies, Facebook, everyone, once you start reducing the trust by doing things, you can't get that back, and you're never too big to fail. And especially you're never too big to be disrupted, especially if you were the disruptor at the beginning, because that's what I find quite interesting. I think we're at a very interesting time.
That's a name from the past. I had a BlackBerry back in my AIG days. I forgot about that thing.
I used to do all the themes on BlackBerry, and we used to do millions. And they were great phones, but they took they didn't innovate fast enough, and they didn't create communities and engage those communities properly. So I think community is a big part of this crypto space, and bringing people who aren't in it at the moment and educating them is going to be a massive part of it as well.
Yeah, you talked about innovating fast enough, and you said 2 words early on in the same sentence that I don't usually think about too often. So I wanted to ask you about that. You said
sure.
Metaverse. You said metaverse and ESG investing. I don't think of ESG in the metaverse. I think of it on land and earth. So could you go to dive into that a bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, ESG is basically environmental social governance. So that doesn't stop in the digital world, and companies now are not how do you say this? They're not linear. They're not either online or they're physical. They're a mixture of both. And when all the glasses come out and virtual reality, we're going into different realities. For me, ESG, there are so many creative businesses that could be made with ESG, that it's so exciting that investors don't want to invest. The best way for me to put this actually is the public demand now that your company is good. And so investors wouldn't be very clever investing in a company that doesn't do good. And so whether that's digital or whether that's a project or whether that's anything, if it doesn't do good, what's the point at the moment? And I think that's why ESG investing will come very much into the metaverse, because the metaverse in essence is our world, is our next world. It's the next internet. It's the next companies. It's the next businesses. It's the next communities. It's the next way we do things. And those businesses aren't going to be just digital. They'll be physical and digital.
Got it. So that's that we talked. So that figures into sustainability, and a big part of sustainability, what you're into, is digital giving, right? So how do you how could crypto and blockchain applications and economies transform, digital giving, like in the sustainable, economic creation?
Well, yeah, well, I think what it really comes down to is putting the good in profit. If we can put the good in profit, then smart contracts, we can do anything. If we can make it incentively good to be good, if we can make it to be profitable to be good, then charities, there's so much we can do with them. And we can also hopefully not have the need for a lot of charities as well. I mean, DAOs are going to change the way that charities are probably run. And the thing that you're probably going to find with charities, because I've been in that industry, and especially I've done a lot of digital first in the charities. For example, I turned Stephen Fry into a 3D spelling bee for MenCap, and we did a global sponsored spellathon. It was way too early. It was about 7 years ago. But the thing is it's that charities need to see that it works and trust that it works, because their brand is everything. And so it's in essence for people like me and things to show them that, this is a new way of fundraising. This is a new way to generate revenue, where the person who's actually giving isn't losing money. They could potentially make money. They could potentially get something new. They could potentially gain access to something. So it's not just a tax break. It's potentially lots of other different things that they could have. So for me, the Dogs Trust is the first project that we're launching, which will be a good test case for a lot of charities with regards to using NFTs, using crypto, and using blockchain and smart contracts. So it's going to be really interesting how that goes, but I'm very excited about that.
Awesome. And I want to talk about, you mentioned before when you described the Bank of Chill, you said you had guardians, right? So
Yes.
would the guardians have a mindset of sustainability and charitable giving? What is your criteria for who these guardians are and what they should be?
Okay, so the guardians, the Mindchill NFT guardians, are the ones that will vote. So it's incredibly important that they're diverse. It's incredibly important they have a reason for wanting to be an NFT guardian, a Mindchill NFT guardian, because they'll earn Mindchill coin and they'll earn out of it, but they'll earn with putting the good in profit, and also funding all these projects. And so I've got a very large network. I've spent the last 10 years connecting with a lot of people on LinkedIn, lots of different companies, a lot of different organizations, met a lot of amazing people, and my community of 250,000 are people that really get that this is a really exciting opportunity for change, and so there's going to be a number of criteria which are when the Guardian sites launch next week, and so I'll be able to send you some more information about that. But the main things are wanting to make a difference. If you want to make a difference and earn Mindchill coin, then we want to have you as part of our community.
Excellent. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. This has been a wonderful conversation. I love talking to you. I'm very interested in Mindchill now, and what you're doing. So, my last question is this: how can people find out more information about you, about what you're doing, about what you do? How can they be involved?
Okay, great. Well, if you go to mind-chill.com, our site's launching on Friday, and what I can do is I can give you a special passcode to get in to see the private sales, because we're doing the Genesis sales at the moment. And so yeah, mind-chill.com, or you can be Facebook Mindchill 360 community, or Jamie Goldblatt on LinkedIn. I'm very active on there because I love that community as well. I built my first business virtually via LinkedIn, and so yeah, connect with me on there, and yeah, and we'll be announcing some really exciting things very, very soon.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Great. Thank you very much.